A long time ago, I made a video about elementals. This was over 4 years ago at this point, and I've wanted to redo some of my older videos. But I don't want to just go over and redo my older videos shot for shot because, honestly, I was just kind of reading out of the black brick at the time, and I sounded dead inside, and for fuck's sake, the thumbnail was made in MS Paint, for of all things. So, today, we're going to go through and we're going to, baby steps, begin a new mini-series, because I know everyone loves the mini-series on this channel. And we're going to be talking about the element of Earth. I am Dave, the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. On today's episode, we will be talking about the classical element of Earth from the occultist's perspective, both modern and the more classical perspective. Quick reminder that this channel is supported by my patrons over on Patreon. Click the link in the description if you want to support the channel, and if you want to support the channel but you don't want to spend any money, just share it out. Just share the videos out with people you think might enjoy them. I also offer consulting services. You can contact me for those on my email, Instagram, Patreon, or Discord. This is the kind of thing where if you want me to explain something, or if you're having issues on your spiritual path, you can contact me for that, and I can give you some guidance on that. That being said, now that I'm done plugging all the things and getting the value of the element of Earth flowing to the channel once more, let's talk about the element of Earth. The element of Earth is an interesting element, and when I first started working with the element of Earth, I thought it was complete and total nonsense. But the more I go through and I develop my spiritual practice, the more I keep coming back to the element of Earth being a very important thing. Something that is very overlooked. And I want to just start by saying that the element of Earth is not going to vibe for everyone, and that's going to be normal. If you look at your astrology chart, you're going to find which element you particularly like to work with. I've mentioned in the past quite a few times I don't like working with the element of water. However, I do have to say that I am a big fan of the element of Earth and the element of fire. Not so much the element of air, as you can probably tell by my channel. Though I do have a healthy respect for the element of air and the element of water, I'm not going to tell you to work with them for various reasons unless you actually have a good need to, because personally I absolutely hate working with the element of water, and I'm not going to be working with the element of air unless I have a good reason. I'll usually go to the spirits of Mercury for that. I have a lot of friends who love working with the element of air, but it's just not for me. That being said, this video is about the element of Earth, and the element of Earth is very interesting. In the past, old grimoires treated the element of Earth like it was kind of an afterthought, and that is because the element of Earth is the most complex of all of the elements. Now, that sounds very strange for those of you who have read the multitude of books about the element of water and fire that are just strictly about the elements of water and fire, being massive books with long, in-depth analysis about these very, very simple elements. And the reason for that is because the more complicated something is, the more occultists say it is simple because it is self-explanatory. And the more simple something is, the more occultists will talk about it like it is the most complex thing in the entire world. The unified field theory for occultism is going to be a sentence long, and if you're asking how walking works, it's going to be a 4-page lecture about how the left leg moves, and then a 7-page lecture about the right leg. So why is the element of Earth so complex and so often ignored? Well, in the past, most occultists would not really talk about the element of Earth. If you look at Agrippa in Book 1 has an entire chapter where he talks about the dry elements, and then one where he talks about the wet elements. This is going to be fire and earth, and then water and air respectively. And if you look at the Fire and Earth chapter, he talks about the element of Earth for about a paragraph, and then he immediately starts talking about fire and its nature to Jesus and the divine for the rest of a page and a half. This is according to the New Eric Purdue translation. And if you go into the works of Paracelsus, Paracelsus says that the gnomes, the elemental spirits of Earth, are basically only for making money and causing disease. And if you read the invocation for the Golden Dawn on the element of Earth, it begins with "Stoop not into that darkly splendid world." So the element of Earth is not exactly good, according to the old grimoires. That being said, it is not always ignored. The element of earth is seen to be a very powerful element, however, it is also an element that is not really worth talking about because you're experiencing it all the time, is kind of the general understanding of the classical magicians. Classical, in this case, being everyone from Agrippa to Mathers and Westcott of Golden Dawn fame. So, when you look at the element of earth, usually in the modern sense, you're not going to really... If the practice is about spiritual development, the element of earth is seen as a very negative influence, and if you are looking at it from the element of earth is a necessary evil, then the element of earth is downplayed, but it is not ignored. Commonly, historically speaking, the most common method of thaumaturgy, which is manifestation work, for those of you who need a reminder, the most common method of thaumaturgical operation was going to be making talismans. Now, these talismans were often made for positive things, though sometimes they were made to stop negative things. It really depends. Now, talismanic magic is something I've talked about in the past quite a few times. I've talked about the Greater Key of Solomon a little bit, and those are all talismans in and of themselves. But when you go through and you are working with talismanic magic, if you are making your own talismans, they can be very difficult to make properly. Talismans, if you're making them yourself, are going to take a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of divination, and they're, generally speaking, you're going to want to ideally be working with the spirits you plan on putting in those talismans before you actually do put them in those talismans. It's all up to you. And this follows a kind of unspoken rule about magic involving the element of earth that I've talked about in a couple of places, and I'm just going to put it in here too, where if you're working with the element of earth, you need a physical focus. I've talked about this in the occulting manual I did on the element of earth, which touches on talismanic magic a little bit. I've talked about this in various other videos, but when you go and you work with the element of earth, and I'm going to hammer it home here too, you need a physical implement to the magic if you want it to function. Now, if you're working with, because of the nature of the element of earth being the physical element, this is the element of physicality. Air, fire, and water are all kind of ephemeral. Air is going to be thoughts, fire is going to be action, and water is going to be emotion, but Earth is physical. Earth is the world around us. It's the things you can touch, feel, sense. And by doing that and having a physical implement to your mundane physical magic in order to manifest things in the physical world, it's going to manifest things in a much higher quality, and oftentimes in a much more effective way. The other thing that I think is really important when working with the element of earth is that you want whatever you're working for using the element of earth to actually have value. You don't want it to just be something that has no value. Now, if it's an intrinsic value, that's different, but what I mean by this is don't be going to the element of earth for shit that doesn't matter. So if you go to the element of earth for things like, I want to buy all this cheap consumerism stuff, it's not going to matter. Whatever you go to the element of earth for should have some substantial weight to it. This is why back in the day when magicians were going to the element of earth, they were going to things for personal fortunes, right? That's, with a personal fortune, you could do whatever you wanted. That's commonly here in the States, that's called fuck you money. Because if anyone wants you to do anything, they can't get you to do anything. You can just tell them to go fuck themselves. There's a great scene from a movie called The Gambler. I'll put it in the description because I don't want YouTube to demonetize it, but from the 2014 movie The Gambler, John Goldman's character there explains to the main character that if you're going to take risks, you need to be in a stern, steady, solid foundation of fuck you. And this is what he means. The element of earth is about stability and foundations. The element of earth is about stability, foundations, and being untouchable. This is why Capricorns are so fucking annoying to 90% of people, because Capricorns intrinsically understand that they are trying to work at being untouchable. They are ruled by the planetary power of Saturn. They are the most powerful place for the planetary power of Saturn, other than arguably the sign of Aquarius and the sign of Libra especially. However, Saturn is in domicile in the sign of Capricorn, and Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. The sign of Capricorn is about building things up and becoming an untouchable monolith of society. You're trying to climb up the corporate or whatever ladder you are trying to get to, because goats climb. That's what goats do. They try to climb things, and that is generally speaking what Capricorns are going to try to do. Now, if you go around to Taurus, Taurus wants to become, they want to be comfy. Okay, Taurus wants to be comfy. The sign of Taurus wants to be comfy. It doesn't want to have anything bothering it. It just wants a nice comfy bed. It just wants a really nice comfy position in life. It doesn't want to have to move. It doesn't want to have to do anything. Taurus is the sign of luxury. It is ruled by the planetary power of Venus, and Venus is the beautiful sign. Now, Venus is going to be, more commonly, people are going to think about Venus in one of two ways. If they're thinking about Venus as the relationship planet, they're thinking of Venus in its Libra aspects. However, if you're thinking about the beautiful aspects of Libra, you're going to be thinking about Libra in Taurus. Now, Libra in Taurus wants to be the beautiful, regal, artistic, flashy, gaudy, super comfortable, massive mansion, has all the money, doesn't need to do anything because they have everything. They are the material girls of the zodiac, and we live in a material world. The moon is in exaltation in Taurus, which is why the moon is stablest in Taurus. Taurus is fixed earth. Taurus is the least mobile of all of the signs, which is kind of ironic given the fact that the opposite of Taurus is fixed water, which is, the ocean. But Taurus is the most stable of all the signs. So Taurus, when you're going for stability, is going to be the sign that you go to. Capricorn builds up the stability. Taurus is the established stability. So what does that leave us with the final sign? The sign of Virgo. I once heard a person explain a very Virgo phrase of, I'm an IT person. My job is to make sure my job doesn't exist. I am here to solve problems, and if my job is done correctly, no one should have any problems, and I should solve the problems before anyone gets them. No one should even know about the problems before they arise. This is really the sign of Virgo. The sign of Virgo is the editor and the problem solver of the zodiac. Mercury is exalted in the sign of Virgo, and Virgo really is the narrow band editor of the zodiac. Virgo is going to be, if the signs of Capricorn and Taurus are for building and maintaining wealth and the fortune, Virgo is the executor of the estate who is trying to make sure that those signs are happy and make sure that nothing bad happens. Virgo is constantly analyzing and checking for problems. One of the things that Virgo does very well, if you have a prominent Virgo is very good at stock options. Virgo is quite good at analyzing data sets and analyzing to see what good investments are. Now, investments themselves are actually Scorpio. Having your own money is Taurus, but Virgo is about data analysts. Data analysis will be Virgo, and Virgo is for anything that you don't want to do, any nitnoidy, tedious job that you don't want to do, Virgo is ruling that. Virgo does all of the crap jobs that no one wants to do. It is the service jobs. And if you look at the zodiac, Capricorn is all about maintaining a career and growing that way. Taurus is about just having a fortune naturally. Virgo is about service. Virgo is about the jobs that need to be done but no one wants to actually do. Traditionally, Virgo is also seen as the health sign. Virgo, if there was any problems in your Virgo sign or house, because the sixth house also rules over health, it was considered to be where your health problems would arise from. Now, health problems are going to be complicated in astrology, and I am not a doctor. However, it is said that Virgos are very good at helping people heal as well. There's a lot of things about the element of Earth that I can't really get into just because the element of Earth is so complicated, but here's a short list of things that it rules. Stability, industry, industriousness, inertia, health, longevity, the enduring qualities of things, value, tangible value specifically, not attributed value. The final form of manifestation is often attributed to the element of earth because if you look, it is the final stage, and all things relating to the mundane physical world. As you can probably tell, there is a lot of different aspects to the element of earth, and there is one thing I want to mention in this elemental series that is pretty noteworthy. Because I talk about working with spirits on this channel so much, I want to talk about spirits from the Golden Dawn tradition real quick. Now, the elementals associated with the element of earth are gnomes, and gnomes are going to be the elementals associated most with, if you read Paracelsus, disease and finding money. Now, gnomes are actually probably the hardest working of all of the elementals. If you give a gnome, if you give the elemental spirits tasks, it might be hit and miss, but if you give a gnome a task that they can achieve, they will get it done fairly well. Now, they're very slow. They're not the fastest. They are the slowest of the entire elemental lineup because they have to go through and they have to manifest things. They do have that inertia, so unless you're actively working with gnome elementals all the time, if you're not working with earth elementals all the time, they might take a little bit of a startup period, but by and large, they are pretty effective at what they do. Now, there is a little bit of an elemental hierarchy to the elements, and in a past video, I just listed out the elemental hierarchy. And before we finish this video, I just want to mention that the elemental king Gob of the element of earth is, from my experience, one of the easiest to work with. He will give you straight answers. He doesn't beat around the bush. He is straight and to the point. He is very efficient in his communication. And if you ask him for advice related to the element of earth, assuming you know how to scry the elemental planes, which you can find on other places, if you go to the elemental plane of earth and you scry the elemental plane of earth, which I mentioned I believe I mentioned that in the pathworking videos, you can go and ask the elemental king Gob for advice on various different things that you want to learn, and he will answer them fairly quickly, and honestly, he is generally speaking one of the most effective and best places to learn particular forms of earthy magic, which I have done in the past to great success. That being said, I believe I've rambled fair enough about the element of earth, and hopefully you have learned something from this video. If you are watching this on Patreon, thank you for your continued and ongoing support. Link to the Patreon will be in the description. If you feel so inclined to support the channel, go down and subscribe over there. And if you don't want to subscribe on the Patreon, please share this video out with people you think will enjoy it if you enjoyed this video. I have been Dave the Amateur Magus. Hope everyone is having a good day, and if you are not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy, take care, and see you next time.